This is so bad. So here's like a beautiful Space Invader Pectina coral, completely toast. Every single snail is dead. It looks like the zoas are closed up but still alive. Looks like I have 2 Space Invader Pectinas that are hanging on, so we're gonna see if we can revive them. But this is really bad, guys. Alright, so we lost the massive Space Invader Pectina frag. This guy has absolutely melted. Gone. Gone. The inverts that I lost, I gave some to Jeff and Jesse, but I wish I had just given them it all. So guys, I got really bad news. Some of the fish did not make it. Just found my flame angelfish. We're gonna get them out immediately. No, not my cardinals. And we lost Antheus. So these guys didn't make it. We're gonna give them a fish Viking funeral. Looks like the clownfish and the purple tang are doing really well, but the water's really cloudy. Napoleon's doing well too. He's in the back. Okay guys, now let's talk about what happened. So I lost a decent amount of coral, but not all of my coral. I lost a major colony of Space Invader Pectina, but I didn't lose all of my Space Invader Pectina. I lost some fish, but not all of my fish. It was really a mixed bag. I think it came down to individual circumstances on each creature. As far as the fish go, some fish have greater or less ability to endure stress. For example, Antheas are well known to not deal well with a lot of stress. They're very hard to move, and looking back at it, I should have sold all my really fragile fish before the move. As far as the corals go, I really should have split out, maybe taken 1 frag for memorabilia of every single coral, and sold or given away the rest. It's really a shame that so much coral was lost. A big thing that can be a contributor to what went wrong is probably due to the fact that my new water pressure in my new apartment was so low that I left the thing on to make new water all night, had the heaters getting ready to go to heat everything up, and it didn't make any water because the water pressure was just so low that the RO system wasn't working. I didn't get enough new, fresh salt water made, heated up quick enough. And so we're using a lot of old tank water. Of course, when you move a tank, you kick up all sorts of nasty stuff. The temperature was actually pretty cool because it cooled off a lot outside. It was about 34 degrees outside. It was sleeting, and it took a lot of energy and stuff to bring the tank water up. And when we started acclimating things, I think we're still probably only around like 68 degrees. So things were cool. The water wasn't really clean. There was just a lot of stuff that went on that made it a really hard move, just because stuff that you don't expect happens. And that happens with every move. You know, you're not going to move a tank and everything go perfectly. And so you have to understand that and really, really try to get rid of things that are less durable. Now, things like clownfish, I would always move with your clownfish. My clownfish, it's the very first saltwater fish I've ever had, and he made it through like a champ. So really, clownfish, they're really tough guys. Take those things with you. But things like Antheas, sell them off. Other SPS coral, just give them to the people helping you move. Keep a small sample for yourself. Now, with that said, there's a lot of good things that happen. I mean, without help, the thing would have been a complete loss and a complete disaster. But my clownfish survived, my purple tang survived, Napoleon the shark survived, and he's thriving. And you know, some of my brain corals did really well. I actually still have some of that Pectina coral. So there's a lot of good that came from it, and I couldn't have done that without help. So now's the chance for you to check out what the tank looks like now. After the move, it also basically did a whole nother cycle. I had cyano and tons of algae outbreak. But now, let's see what it looks like. And it's been probably 3 months since the move, so let's check it out, the rebirth of the Red Sea Reefer 650 Peninsula. So here's the fish tank in its new spot, and right now it's actually looking pretty good. Everything's starting to get very stable. As we walk in close, you can start to see how we still have this nice peninsula look. Instead of looking out over the city though, we are looking out over to the entertainment room, which is still a pretty good view. I just picked up some coral. I haven't actually planted them all yet. And by just picked up, I mean maybe like 4 weeks ago, you can see I already have new growth on some of these coral. And they actually are looking pretty good. I'll give you a couple shots of some of those there. Now there are a couple of little too aggressive corals. I put them too close to each other, so I lost like 1 or 2 here or there, but some of these guys are pretty cool. this guy, for example, you can see right here, very beautiful coloration. I don't have any filters on, so probably could look better, but this is some great looking coral. And of course the brain corals, they've been doing really well. In fact, they really like the dirty water. I feel like they've gotten a lot plumper and fatter as the tank was actually struggling. And the pectina corals that did survive, you can check out this one right here. And they're actually doing really good. They're starting to grow. And so even though I had a massive colony, I think in no time I will have another colony all back. I also just recently got some Trochus snails to replace my old bandaged Trochus snails. That's helping a lot with algae control. One thing that I was pretty surprised about is these anemones all survived the move. And in fact, I've started to take over. So I'm trying to get rid of the anemones so I can start moving coral up on top of the tank. So I've captured one anemone. I'm gonna try to capture more. The thing that really surprised me is this guy here. This is my porcelain crab. He actually rode the whole way of the move on the back of the truck. I had forgotten about him. He was in the truck, he was in the cold. It was 34 degrees. He had no problem. He just hunkered down in that anemone, and now he is out and hanging out, and he's been doing really well, of course, because there's tons of anemones. So I haven't really done anything with this backside of the tank, and I think I have a new idea for what I want to do there. Before I was using it to basically grow all the frags, and I think I'm going to switch this up. Of course, the fish are doing good. The Hamlet is doing great. And Napoleon, I've never seen him so happy in his life. So Napoleon is definitely having a really great time in this aquarium, and he gets really active around feeding time. Now, things I changed about my setup, this time I have a little more access from this side of the tank, so there's a little bit more room here. I had this really interesting setup here. I had a little bit of room here, but I made sure I set the tank far enough against the wall so I could actually fit my ATO reservoir. And so I set it so it's basically the perfect size. If you're interested in this reservoir, I have a whole video about it, but I'll also post the link in the description, an affiliate link that you can purchase it through if you would like. And it actually has worked out for me a lot. It does bulge a little when you fill it up with water, but that's not a big deal because for me it's against a wall. And even though it bulges, it doesn't break or anything. It just kind of looks funny. And so here is the tank. And then the other thing that I did just recently is I still haven't fixed all the wiring, but what I did is I added this Philips Hue light strip. Actually, any sort of light strip would work, but light strips are great for lighting under your tank. And under here, you can see I've got some mangroves that I'm starting to work on. I got this big rock that I'm saving just because there's something I would like to do with it. And of course, all the typical filtration systems. But what's great is that you can see things very well under the tank with the strip light. And the only other thing that's kind of interesting, if you look up at this light, you'll notice that there is only one wire holding up the light. Is this magic? Is this crazy? There's one thing I did not know is how on earth was I gonna mount this light because I have such high ceilings. And it turns out that I was able to figure out a way where I mounted the light with it pinned right here. And then it's actually a cantilevered beam. So you can see here where there's another wire here adjusted to this bar. And this bar is mounted to the wall and it slides basically left and right. So I can adjust basically the cant of the light here. And then I use that one to adjust the up and down of the light. So I can actually control everything about the light, but it really gives the whole tank this, floaty look. Like the lights are just floating up there. And once I clean up those wires, oh boy, is this gonna look good. So we're still working on it. One thing that I tried to get replacement hinges and I bought the wrong kind of hinge. So I bought a hinge that puts the door out in front rather than out on the side. So I'm gonna have to fix that, get the right hinges this time so the door is actually closed. But if anything, I'll have to find some sort of good hinges to replace it, to maintain it. So let me know what you think about that. But this is a high-level overview of the tank, where it looks. One thing that I also added, I have this is a medicine cabinet, but it's a great thing to have right by your fish tank. And the other nice thing about a medicine cabinet is I can put the little towel here. And you also might notice there, I've got a trident, have not set that up, so I'm gonna set that up and let you know in future videos how it goes. But that's basically the tank. We got a lot of corals getting ready to go in it, and you know, it's kind of the rebirth of the tank. So I really appreciate you guys sticking with me for this whole video. Please subscribe to the channel, check it out, and I'll give you more updates on what I plan to do with this. But after a long period of time, lots of ups and downs, we still have a decent amount of fish, decent amount of coral, and this thing is gonna be rip-roaring pretty soon. So thanks for watching Puff Daddy Reef. I'll catch you next time.